Go ahead.
You said on your blog that you're hoping that there's opportunity for expansion of Battlestar along the lines of more movies or exploring Earth, that when they finally get there, not giving it as much away. Has there been any whisperings about that?
No, they're not going to use us again. First and foremost, we're too expensive. Can you imagine trying to get these kids back together again? Oh, mackerel, they would ask for the farm, and then some. And but basically, they're going to make the movie, I'm sure. I mean, it's a franchise that they're not going to allow just to disappear. Like Caprica, they're going to. I think that the next one is going to be the Cylon Wars, which is really the Husker's life, my life as a young man in the 20s, and Colonel Ty, myself, and how we all got started and fought the wars against the Cylons at the very beginning. That I think is coming into play, and it might be as a webisode first, and then move into strong for television. As far as I think Glenn Larson is planning on doing the film, the feature-length motion picture in theaters, and that'll be completely different than the Battlestar that we know today. It'll go revert more towards the way it was in 1978, with Starbuck being a man, I'm sure. And none of us will be in it. He didn't like. I don't know if he ever commented. Did he ever comment? Did anybody know? Did he ever comment on publicly as to what he thought of the reimagination? I don't think he did. I think he kind of just stood back and just let it do what he was going to do. And he was very disappointed. I know that much. But I don't think he ever publicly came out and said anything. But that was it. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Tell me about in Stand in the Liver, working with Lou Diamond Phillips, and your learning to play the character as Jackass Orange.
It took me about a year. I was very fortunate that I had. It took us 5 years to make the movie. It happened in 1983, the original. That's when we bought the rights for $1. We had no money, so we ended up buying it for $1, and then we went around trying for years to get the thing financed, but nobody wanted to do a movie about, inner city school kids taking a test twice. So it was not high concept enough. So the year was 1983, so 84, 85, 86. In 87, we finally got the funding for it. And in 88, it came out. It took us 5 years, but in that process, I was doing Miami Vice. Who in this room has never seen Miami Vice? Raise your hand. Okay. It was a television show back in the 80s. It was very, very, very revolutionary in the time that it came out. And so I was doing that at the time, and I had a non-exclusive contract with them. It was the only way I could sign the deal to be in that program. They had offered me to do television before that, like Hill Street Blues, NYPD Blue, multitude of other episodic television shows had asked me to become a regular with them, but I couldn't do it because I wanted to be able to work on television, but as an actor, but I also wanted to be able to do films, and the films that we were trying to make were very difficult to make, and so I just couldn't sign an exclusive contract. And so that was the first show. Miami Vice was the first show to actually give me that non-exclusive contract, and I was very grateful because during the middle of in 1986 and 87, when we started to get close to doing Stand and Deliver, that was right in the middle of 85. 84 through 89 was Miami Vice. So it was right in the middle. And I got the opportunity to do it, and we had a year of working with Jaime. I went with him, and I would watch him work. And if imitation is like the highest form of flattery, I got him. I really got him. And I gained the weight, I changed my hair, I did the whole 9 yards, and my character work, which is what I've always done, really took flourish in there. And like you said, I was nominated for the Academy Award for that performance. And to this day, I'm very proud of that piece of work, and I think that that piece of work will stand the test of time. I think it'll be more powerful 100 years from today than it was the day that we finished it, to be honest with you, that piece of work. Yes, right here. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Battlestar Galactica was very special because you and my father share resemblance. And my father came to the United States at 13 with no money in his pocket, and unfortunately he would never be more than a factory worker. So seeing someone that resembles him in command was very special to me because I always hoped my father would have that, right? When you took on that role, did you realize what kind of impact you would have on the Latino community as being someone in charge? There wasn't very much of that when it came out.
What she's asking me is something that is sorrowfully a truth that just devastates us here in this country. When it comes to, if I was to ask you, name me one United States national hero that you've studied any time in your life, male or female, born in the United States of America, of Latin descent, name me one that you studied any time in your life. Or name me one Asian American that was born in the United States, that it's a national hero that you studied any time in your life. Okay? Or how about an indigenous First Nation person? Who?
Chief Joseph, but I grew up in the Northwest, so
Well, what national hero is Chief Joseph?
he
Other than you knowing Chief Joseph and other people who know Chief Joseph, it's like Geronimo.
yeah.
Geronimo's better known than Chief Joseph is. And Geronimo's not a national hero. We don't have any national. If it wasn't for Martin Luther King, we wouldn't have one national hero of color in this country.
George Washington Carver?
Who?
Carver? George
Car-
Washington Carver?
He's not a national hero. You make him one, and I make him one. It's like Cesar Chavez. I'm not talking about the boxer. Cesar Chavez is a national hero to me, and to many people, and they wish they would at least give him that status. But we only have one national hero of color, and that's Martin Luther King. Period. That we all, when I spoke at Harvard and I received very high accolades from Harvard University, and I was talking in front of like 100 PhDs from Harvard, and I asked that question: name me one, United States national hero that you studied any time in your life, male or female, born in the United States of America. And at that time, I used Asian American descent. Name me one. And I don't know much, but I understand human behavior, and I understand what this means. And I understand what this means. And I understand what this means, and this is the one I got. I said, yes. He said, I said, are you a PhD? And he says, yes. Everybody in the audience was. Harvard. And I said, okay, name me one United States national hero that you've studied any time in your life, male or female, born in the United States of America, of Asian descent. Name me one. And he's like this, and he goes, how do you define national hero? And I said, oh, shoot, that's right, I'm at Harvard. I'm sorry. Okay, I defined it as where the entire country, for at least 5 minutes, once a year, says thank you to that person. That's it. The whole country says, thank you for living and doing what you did. Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Wright brothers, and the list goes on. There are no heroes other than European-based cultures. None. It's as if, like the First Nation people had nothing to do for the last 500 years of the existence of this portion of the planet. It's as if the Latino had nothing to do with the advancement of the culture of the American people over the last, 300 years. Or Asian Americans, When you see an Asian American, you actually think that they're from someplace else. Even the indigenous people don't get that the Asians were the first peoples to be here on this hemisphere. So they were here before anybody was. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is that Adama being the very first person of this status to be shown on the mediums of television was monumental. You know what happened to me the first time that the show came out? I get a phone call from a great artist, a woman artist. She's a great writer, and she's an actress. She started with me in American Me. She played my girlfriend in American Me. And she calls me up crying. She's weeping on the phone, and I go, "What's the matter?" You know, Evelina, what's going on? She goes, my nephew just called me, and he was so happy. He said, Dia, we're in the future. We're in the future. I saw it. We're in the future. We're there. Get it? Do you get it? Do you see how incredibly important that is? And yet it has been overlooked for like no big deal. It's just another character. So who cares? Adama, great. Let him play it or let him play. All of a sudden, for the first time, we have a hero on TV that happens to be Latin. Doesn't mean much to anybody except for the Latin people. Because the other people don't really, it doesn't register. Yeah, Latinos, sure, why not? But to us, it's like a glass of water in the middle of the desert. It's just like all of a sudden you gave life to these people when they were dying. So yes, I understand why your father felt that way and why my mom cried and why people just were shocked that they had given us the first position. I mean, not only was I the lead of the show, and a show that was pretty well, even for the beginning, was very well received, to being the guy who's saving humanity, and doesn't even like the president. So it became a big issue, and I wish it wasn't. I wish it was. I wish there was. Why can't we have, First Nation heroes? Why can't we have it? Like the whole country at one point says, "Thank you, Geronimo," and "Thank you, Cesar." The whole country, and "Thank you, Maya Lin." Maya Lin, one of the brilliant, Vietnamese artists here, living here, born here, and everything. And she did the memorial. The most known thing that she's done, it was the Vietnam Memorial Wall. The wall, she designed it. That's hers. So she should be. We should know about where she comes from, how she got to that level. We should say thank you to her once a year. The whole country saying yay, or teach it to our children. Everybody, not just. Because Cesar Chavez is taught in different parts of the country as being a hero, and in certain parts of the country they teach you about First Nation people. But the Puerto Ricans teach about the Puerto Ricans, the Cubans teach about the Cubans, the Mexicans teach about the Mexican contributions, and they're pretty strong. But, we need just to all kind of grasp, like we were saying earlier, that the cultural dynamic is beautiful in this country. That's what makes us strong. But that we have to just extend it, just to open it up a little bit. I don't want to change history. I want to augment history. Just let's say thank you to a few more people of the different cultures that have made it all possible for us to be here.